It was the second month since I lost my sight in a car accident. I accidentally overheard my boyfriend, Frederick Stewart, talking to someone. Irene's become so clingy, especially after going blind. She can't bear to be away from me. I'm so tired of her constant neediness. So I asked Alfred to pretend to be me and help take care of her for a few days. She hasn't even noticed the difference. Alfred Burton was his best mate. I pretended I hadn't heard anything and calmly left. When I got home, a man gently embraced me from behind. "Babe, where have you been? I've missed you so much." Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. When I heard Frederick's voice, I almost doubted my own ears. He seemed to be with his friends, chatting casually when someone mentioned my name. "Fred, Irene's gone blind after all. Don't you worry about her being alone at home now that she can't see? What can I do?" Frederick's voice sounded a bit gloomy. "She's so clingy, isn't she? Ever since she lost her sight, she's been constantly hanging on to me. She cries nonstop if I leave for even a moment. It's driving me mad." Laughter and teasing remarks echoed around. "She just loves you too much, can't bear to be apart from you. Now that she's blind, of course she needs to hold on to you even tighter, doesn't she?" Frederick snorted coldly, his tone arrogant. "Well, I can't spoil her too much. So I asked Alfred to pretend to be me and help take care of her for a few days. She hasn't noticed a thing. It's good, I can finally relax for a bit." "Alfred Burton?" someone exclaimed in surprise. That young master actually agreed to help? Well, only Alfred has a build and voice similar to mine. It took a lot of convincing before he agreed, and I had to promise him a favor in return. What kind of favor? He didn't specify, just said he'd let me know when the time was right. Frederick paused, then said dismissively, "But given his status, we should be the ones asking him for favors. So there's no need to worry he'll ask for anything unreasonable. After all, we're all mates here." After a moment, someone spoke up again. "But what if Irene finds out?" Frederick scoffed dismissively. "With Alfred around, there's no problem. She's so stupid, and her eyes are still blind. How could she possibly find out? Even if she did discover it, I'd just sweet-talk her. She loves me so much, she definitely wouldn't leave me." This was followed by another burst of laughter. As the surroundings quieted down again, a female voice rang out in the air. "All right. Stop talking about those boring people and things. You all promised to come and welcome me back today. Don't spoil my mood." I recognized that voice. It was Mina Lawrence, Frederick's childhood friend. She was also the only girl in their little group. "Yes, my lady." Frederick's tone was indulgent. "This jewelry shop has released new designer pieces. Today, you can pick whatever you like." "It's on me." Mina's voice was coquettish, that's more like it. The sound of playful banter came through, with others joining in the teasing. As if they were all long accustomed to this. "Come on, Mina, stop tormenting Fred. You ran off abroad on your own, then came back on your own. One phone call from you, and Fred got into a car accident. Now he's even left his girlfriend to keep you company. You shouldn't be angry with him anymore." I stood outside the door, my limbs trembling uncontrollably with cold. When Frederick and I first got together, I clearly sensed Mina's hostility towards me. But I didn't care. After all, I didn't particularly like her either, nor did I want to force my way into their social circle. Until 2 months ago, when I fell ill with a fever. Frederick chose to stay and look after me. Instead of attending the birthday party Mina had meticulously prepared. She threw a massive tantrum and, unbeknownst to everyone, secretly flew abroad to clear her head. Frederick worried about her for a long time, fearing she might encounter some misfortune while alone in a foreign country. On the day of the car accident, Frederick was driving me to work as usual. Midway through the journey, he received a phone call, and the car suddenly lost control, crashing into the roadside barrier. I hit my head in the collision, causing a hematoma that compressed my optic nerve, resulting in temporary blindness. I still haven't fully recovered. So, on the day of the accident, was it Mina who made that phone call to Frederick? Lost in thought, Mina's angry voice rang out from inside again. Serves him right. Who told him to forget his friends for a girl? He even dared to miss my birthday. Someone tried to smooth things over. Fred didn't mean to stand you up. His girlfriend was ill, wasn't she? Humph. Mina snorted lightly. Who knows if she was really ill or just pretending? I've long noticed that girlfriend of his doesn't like me. It's nothing more than her knowing she can't compare to our lifelong friendship. So she's feeling insecure. She's never ill any other time, but conveniently falls sick on my birthday and keeps him from coming. It's clearly just to spite me. Only you clueless blokes can't see through her schemes. Mina's tones sounded triumphant. We've grown up together. If there was really something between us, Irene wouldn't even be in the picture. Frederick! You know I'm not one to take things lying down. But for your sake, I've put up with a lot of Irene's hostility. You'd better make it up to me properly, or don't expect me to forgive you. Mina had always been treated like a little princess in their group. Once she spoke, Frederick naturally agreed. All right, all right. My time is all yours from now on. I'll go along with whatever you want to do. That's more like it. I stood by the door for a moment. The shop assistant approached me and placed a velvet box in my palm. Miss Layton, the custom-made couple rings you ordered earlier are ready. Is there anything else you need? I paused briefly, then slipped the box into my handbag. No, thank you, I replied calmly. I left the shop with composure, as if I hadn't heard a word of that conversation. As I returned home, a hush enveloped the surroundings. I fumbled to open the shoe cabinet, intending to change my footwear. Suddenly, I felt a gentle embrace from behind, arms encircling my waist. Warm breath tickled my neck as a man's deep, velvety voice whispered in my ear. Babe, where have you been? I've missed you so much. My body tensed momentarily before relaxing. I went to the hospital for a follow-up today. The man's breathing quickened for an instant. He turned me around to face him, his hands on my shoulders. Why didn't you tell me? We agreed I'd accompany you. What if you'd gotten hurt on your own? As he spoke, he began examining me for any signs of injury. I laughed, catching his slightly frantic hands in mine. I'm fine. The driver took me there. Besides, I wanted to try going out on my own. It's been a month since I lost my sight, and I haven't been out alone yet. Perhaps realizing I was being a bit coy, the man's worry seemed to ease slightly. What did the doctor say? I shook my head. The recovery is slower than expected. Large hands cupped my face, and a gentle kiss landed on my brow. Don't worry, I'm here for you. You'll get better. I lied. In fact, the blood clot in my brain had already mostly dissipated. Although my vision hadn't fully recovered, I could at least see some blurry outlines now. I saw Alfred bending down to open the shoe cabinet, taking out a pair of bunny ear slippers. Then he knelt in front of me, reaching out to grasp my ankle to change my shoes. The sight before me was a hazy double image. But for some reason, when his fingertips slowly caressed my ankle bone, I glimpsed a hint of frantic devotion in his heart from this slightly trembling action. I don't really know Alfred Burton. All I know is that he comes from an extremely privileged background, with a top-tier family pedigree. Even Frederick, who calls himself Alfred's friend and boasts of being the cream of the crop, can't help but tread carefully around him in their daily interactions, often trying to curry favor. Previously, I hadn't had much interaction with Alfred. I'd only seen him a few times at social gatherings. He always sat in a dimly lit corner, refusing all attempts at conversation. Cold and taciturn, he seemed utterly unapproachable. But whenever I turned around, I'd invariably catch his gaze. His eyes were deep and dark, concealing inscrutable emotions. Like a predator lurking in the shadows, intently focused on its prey. When I caught him, he didn't even try to hide it, just stared at me unabashedly. I assumed he probably disliked me a bit, and comforted myself that it didn't matter. But now it seems I may have guessed wrong. Alfred helped me change my shoes, then lifted me up in his arms. His build was indeed very similar to Frederick's. But upon closer feeling, I realized Alfred was a bit taller than Frederick. and his arms felt more muscular and strong. Alfred sat me down on the sofa, placing his hands on either side of my thighs. He leaned down and kissed my cheek. "Are you hungry? What would you like to eat?" I thought for a moment. "Honey glazed chicken wings." Alfred said all right, then got up to turn on the TV, tuning it to my favorite music channel before heading to the kitchen to start cooking. We actually had a housekeeper. But whenever Alfred was home, he always insisted on cooking himself. I should have noticed sooner. At first, I heard his voice sounding a bit different than usual. But he just said he had a cold. I didn't question it. But Frederick was never a considerate person and had certainly never set foot in the kitchen. During those days I was in the hospital after the car accident. He would often disappear, nowhere to be found. But since coming home from the hospital, he seemed to be glued to my side. Because I couldn't see, I felt insecure. He would hold me every night to help me fall asleep, staying by my bedside. When I woke up from nightmares, he would wipe away my tears over and over again. He did everything himself, feeding me, washing my clothes. When I walked, he would follow closely behind me. He even stood guard outside the bathroom door when I used the toilet, worried I might bump into something. He loved to kiss me and call me baby. But in the 6 months we'd been dating, Frederick had never once called me that. Frederick only ever called me by my name, Irene. I thought he had changed his ways, or was trying to make up for the pain my accident-induced blindness had caused me. But the truth was, my boyfriend had been replaced by someone else entirely. After dinner, I decided to take a bath. Alfred prepared fresh clothes for me, ran the bath water, and finally carried me into the bathroom. As he was about to leave, I suddenly reached out and caught his fingertips. "What is it?" he asked. I pointed to my neck. "The dress zipper. I can't reach it. Could you help me?" In the quiet space, I heard Alfred's throat bob. His voice was a bit husky. "Of course." He pulled the zipper down to my shoulders, then paused. "Is that enough?" I shook my head. "A bit further down." He obliged, continuing to pull. As he did so, his burning fingertips brushed against my spine. By the time the zipper reached my waist, most of my back was exposed to Alfred's gaze. Behind me, his breathing quickened. I turned, using his arm to guide me to his face. Then I placed a soft kiss on his Adam's apple. Satisfied at hearing his muffled groan, I pulled back. I had barely whispered thank you when Alfred's lips eagerly sought mine. "Baby," he murmured. His movements were a bit forceful as he wrapped an arm around my waist, nipping and sucking at my lips. I could clearly feel the changes in his body, so I gently pushed him away between gasps for air. "I need to bathe now." Alfred was clearly struggling, but he simply gazed at me for a moment, then raised his hand to tenderly caress my cheek. Then he obediently released me and took a controlled step back. "Be careful. Don't lock the door, and call me if you need anything." I had just finished a relaxing bath. As I was about to open the bathroom door, I heard Alfred talking on the phone outside. Perhaps due to my blindness, my hearing had become exceptionally acute. He was standing in the hallway outside the bathroom, and although he was deliberately keeping his voice low, I could still make out fragments of the conversation from the other end. "Alfred, Irene hasn't noticed, has she?" It was Frederick. "No." "Good. She can't see now, so she's feeling insecure and often gets moody. Please be patient with her." "Thanks, mate. I'll treat you to dinner sometime." "All right." Frederick paused for a moment, then continued. "I've nearly sorted things out on my end. In a couple of days, I should be able to switch back." Alfred's tone was cold. "No rush." Frederick was still saying something. I wasn't in the mood to listen anymore. I reached out and knocked over the aromatherapy diffuser on the side. The sharp sound of shattering glass exploded at my feet. The next second, the bathroom door was forcefully pushed open. Alfred rushed in with hurried steps, not even having time to hang up the phone. He tossed his mobile aside and reached out to embrace me. "What happened? Are you hurt?" I clung to his shoulders, my unfocused eyes brimming with mist. "Fred, I'm scared. Alfred gently placed me on the wash basin counter, his long legs sweeping the glass shards away from our feet. His strong arms encircled my waist firmly. He lowered his head, softly kissing the corners of my eyes where tears had fallen. It's all right, babe. I'm here. Don't be afraid. The next moment, a roar came from the phone still on the call. What are you two doing? I shuddered, pretending to be startled. Fred, who's that? Alfred's demeanor darkened slightly. He picked up the phone and ended the call. Just someone unimportant. The busy tone echoed in his ear. Frederick stared at the disconnected call for a long moment. If he hadn't misheard, Alfred had just called Irene babe? How could that be possible? An unusual emotion surged within him, something akin to unease and jealousy. Frederick stood up restlessly, pacing back and forth in his room. Surely Alfred didn't know how he and Irene usually interacted. He must have thought couples always called each other babe. He must have said it to avoid suspicion. Their intimate interaction on the phone was because Irene didn't know the truth. Her Fred was definitely meant for him. Frederick reassured himself, yes. That must be it. After all, how could someone of Alfred's status and background be interested in an ordinary girl like Irene? He must already be quite displeased to lower himself to help with this favor. Frederick let out a long breath and sat down again. If it weren't for Mina threatening to cut ties with him over the birthday party incident, he wouldn't have come up with this clumsy swap idea. Now that Mina had calmed down, it was time to find an opportunity to switch back with Alfred. In any case, Irene had lost her sight because of him. He should be more patient with her. When he returned, he would make sure to take good care of Irene. Frederick thought to himself. Alfred carried me into the bedroom, then returned to clean up the broken glass in the bathroom. After finishing all that, he poured a glass of water and sat on the edge of the bed, helping me drink it sip by sip. Does anything hurt? He asked, still concerned even though he had thoroughly checked me over earlier. I smiled and shook my head. No, I'm fine. I then reached into the bedside drawer and pulled out a velvet box. Our 200-day anniversary is coming up in a few days, I said. This is your gift. I opened the box to reveal 2 plain band rings, one large and one small, nestled inside. The room fell eerily quiet. I could even sense Alfred's breath catch for a moment. I've been planning this gift for a long time, I explained. That's why I went out alone today, to surprise you. I furrowed my brow, my unfocused eyes full of disappointment. Don't you like it? Alfred quickly responded, no, that's not it at all. He reached out to embrace me, nuzzling his cheek against mine reassuringly, though his tone was a bit strained. I love anything my baby gives me. I smiled and took out one of the rings, intending to put it on his finger. But it got stuck halfway. Oh dear, is it too small? I wondered aloud. I could have sworn I had it sized correctly. Seeing it wouldn't fit, Alfred's entire demeanor seemed to brighten considerably. The jeweler must have made a mistake with the sizing, he said, quickly returning the ring to the box. Don't worry, I'll take it back tomorrow to have it adjusted. He tucked me back under the covers, carefully arranging the blankets around me. Get some sleep now. I'll stay right here with you. I obediently closed my eyes, pretending to drift off. After what seemed like ages, just as I was truly about to fall asleep, I felt something warm and damp press against my skin. Alfred was placing soft kisses on my forehead, cheeks and the corner of my mouth, like a little chick pecking for seeds. His burning fingertips lovingly traced my brows and eyelids. After a while, he stood up and walked over to the rubbish bin by the bedroom door. In the dim glow of the bedside lamp, I hazily made out his tall figure standing in the shadowy half-light, an imposing presence. Alfred let out a soft scoff, then carelessly tossed the box containing our couple rings into the bin. The next day, Alfred pretended to go out to adjust the ring size. Before leaving, he didn't forget to take out the bedroom rubbish. Shortly after he left, Mina suddenly came knocking at the door. She was here to invite me to her birthday party. Frederick couldn't attend my birthday party earlier because he was taking care of you. He felt quite regretful about it, so he decided to throw me another party himself. Mina said, her voice full of pride and satisfaction. Though I thought it unnecessary, Frederick insisted. I couldn't do anything about it. You know how stubborn he can be sometimes, no one can talk him out of it. I sat on the sofa, slowly nibbling on the apple Alfred had peeled for me before he left. I'm sorry, I can't see at the moment. If you want something to drink, please help yourself from the fridge. Mina smoothed her skirt and sat down opposite me. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten you're blind now, she said with a laugh. Actually, it's my fault. If I hadn't suddenly called Frederick that day, he wouldn't have gotten so excited and had that car accident. Don't worry, I've already scolded him for you. I didn't respond. Irene, don't overthink it, she continued. You know Frederick and I grew up together. Before you came along, he was always very good to me and cared about me a lot. After all, we have years of friendship. I blinked. Aren't you thirsty? Mina choked a bit. Irene, I know you don't like me, she said. But for Frederick's sake, I still hope you can come to my birthday party. I know him well enough, and I don't want him to be caught in the middle between us. I nodded, all right. Mina got angry. She stood up abruptly and stormed out, her high heels clicking loudly as she slammed the door. I followed to the door and heard her talking on the phone in the hallway. Her voice pitched high. All right, she agreed. It's only been a short while and you're already eager to go back. Saying you forget your friends when you see a pretty face isn't wrong at all. You can just come back to her side yourself. Why do you have to use my birthday party as an excuse? Are you trying to annoy me too, Frederick? I came to invite her out of goodwill, but she was so passive-aggressive. Do you know how upset I am? Fine, I want to see how you're going to make it up to me. I rolled my eyes and went back to the sofa to continue eating my apple. 3 days later, Mina's birthday party was held as scheduled at a private club. When I arrived, the private room was already bustling with activity. As soon as people saw me, they crowded around, greeting me enthusiastically. However, they fell silent the moment they spotted Alfred behind me. The atmosphere became a bit tense. I pretended not to notice, while Alfred, seemingly unperturbed, led me by the hand to sit on the sofa. He poured me a glass of water, which was a bit hot. So he set the water aside and used a small fork to feed me pieces of fruit from the fruit platter, one by one. For a moment, the room was so quiet that you could almost hear only the sound of my chewing. Everyone's jaws dropped. Wasn't Burton's heir supposed to be reluctantly agreeing to help look after Irene? How come he looks like he's enjoying it so much? This lovey-dovey act, it looks more real than actual couples. I wish I were the one who couldn't see this. Someone clicked their tongue. I have a feeling the situation might not be good. Better go inform Frederick quickly. Soon, a figure darted out of the doorway. Sensing the moment was right, I suddenly grabbed Alfred's arm. Alfred, I forgot to take my medicine today. It's in my bag, which I think I left in your car. Could you go get it for me, please? Alfred frowned slightly, as if reluctant to leave me alone here. Don't worry, I'll just sit here and not move. Everyone here will take care of me. Alfred coldly raised his eyes, surveying the room. The others, intimidated by the pressure in his gaze, hurriedly agreed. Yes, Fr. I mean, Alfred. With us here, Irene will be very safe. That's right, we're all friends here. We'll definitely take good care of her. Alfred nodded, reached out to stroke my cheek, and said softly, I'll be back soon. It wasn't until Alfred's figure disappeared that the others dared to gather around me. Someone waved their hand in front of my eyes, realizing I truly couldn't see. They were probably seeing a blind person for the first time and were quite curious. Irene, can you tell who I am just by my voice? I thought for a moment, Gregory? Blimey! That's impressive. You can tell just by hearing? What about me, then? Ben? And me? Emma? Another round of exclamations followed. I knew I had guessed correctly. We had barely started playing the Guess Who game when the door of the private room was suddenly pushed open from the outside. The room fell silent instantly. Alfred and Frederick stood on either side of the doorway. Pretending to be unaware, I stared ahead with unfocused eyes. What's happening? Irene, your boyfriend is back. I stood up happily. Fred? Frederick's face lit up, and he was about to step forward to take my hand, but Mina stopped him. Irene, you were able to guess who everyone was just by their voices earlier. That seemed quite impressive. Why don't we play a little game? What kind of game? Mina had a mischievous expression. Guess which of the two men at the door is your boyfriend? I heard someone gasp. No way, that's too much. Is it? With how well Irene knows Frederick, wouldn't it be easy for her to recognize him? Exactly, she likes Frederick so much, how could she possibly get it wrong? As everyone chimed in, someone eager for the drama unfolding pulled me towards the door. Irene, I'm here. Frederick called out, his voice brimming with confidence. He seemed certain that I had no choice but to choose him. I walked towards the sound of his voice. Frederick's smile grew wider, his expression smug. As if declaring to everyone present, see? She'll only choose me. I stopped 3 steps away from him. Frederick's smile faltered. Irene, what's wrong? Ignoring him, I turned to face the other direction. Fred, why didn't you call for me? Alfred's tightly clenched fist suddenly relaxed. He looked up, seemingly unable to believe I was addressing him. Frederick panicked instantly. Irene, who are you calling? I'm right here. Come over quickly. As if I hadn't heard him, I stretched out my hand, searching anxiously in midair. Fred, I'm scared. The next moment, my empty palm found its mark. Alfred gently pulled me into his arms, his voice soft. Don't be afraid, I'm here. The room fell so silent you could hear a pin drop. After a while, someone finally stammered out a comment. Well, that's done it. Even Mina hadn't anticipated the scene. She glanced at Frederick, whose face had darkened considerably, and twisted her lips. Irene, do you know what you're doing? I paid her no attention, instead tugging on Alfred's arm. Fred, I'm tired. Let's go home. Alfred took my hand. All right. Just as we reached the door, my wrist was suddenly grabbed. Frederick's face was as black as thunder as he spoke through gritted teeth. Irene, you've got the wrong person. I'm your boyfriend, Frederick Stewart. He then turned to Alfred. Mate, my girlfriend is blind. She's mistaken you for someone else. Don't joke around with her. Frederick tightened his grip, trying to pull me towards him. Come on, Irene. I'll take you home. I quickly wrenched my hand free, stepping back with disgust and nestling into Alfred's embrace. Fred, your friend really knows how to joke around. How could I possibly not recognize my own boyfriend? Frederick was now completely flustered. Irene, don't scare me like this. You could recognize them, how could you possibly not recognize my voice? Stop this nonsense, will you come home with me? As he said this, he reached out to grab me again, but Alfred intercepted him. You're harassing my girlfriend, Alfred said coolly. Frederick laughed bitterly in his rage. What do you mean, your girlfriend? He turned to Alfred. Alfred, care to explain yourself? I thought we were mates, and you're stealing my girl behind my back. Have you been waiting for this day all along? Alfred didn't refute, merely giving Frederick a cold glance. What makes you think you can speak to me like that? Perhaps remembering Alfred's family background. Frederick's face turned ashen, momentarily at a loss for words. If I remember correctly, when you begged for my help, you promised me one favor. It's time to fulfill it now. And that is, get lost. If you ever bother my girlfriend again, your family's business in the capital won't have a future. With that, ignoring the trembling crowd in the private room, Alfred took my hand and left. We hadn't gone far when Frederick's furious roar erupted behind us, followed by the sharp sound of shattering glass. Security personnel rushed past us in a panic, saying someone had suddenly gone berserk and trashed the private room. The journey home was silent. Back at the house, I sat on the sofa, my face expressionless. Alfred stood before me, like a child who had done wrong and was waiting for his parents' judgment. Despite his tall frame of 6 feet 2 inches, he looked uneasy at that moment. Why aren't you saying anything? I asked. Can you see now? I nodded. Alfred fell silent again. I snorted coldly, if you have nothing to say, you can leave. Alfred immediately crouched down, his long fingers carefully hooking onto mine. I'm sorry, baby. I was wrong. Please don't be angry. Seeing that I didn't pull away, he gradually grew bolder. Moving closer to me, his hand changing from a hook to a grip. When they asked you to choose earlier, why didn't you call for me? Alfred lowered his head, looking pitiful. I knew you could see. I thought you would choose him. And if I had really chosen him, you wouldn't have done anything? Alfred didn't speak. Just as I thought this was his silent agreement, he suddenly spoke up. No. His eyes darkened, as if the mere thought of that scenario was unbearable. I would have fought for you. I would have taken you back. I just feared you would hate me. Is that so? I stared at him. You didn't seem very afraid when you were kissing and hugging me while I couldn't see. Hearing this, Alfred seemed to relax. He looked up at me, his gaze filled with blatant possessiveness. Babe, break up with him and be with me. I frowned. Alfred, you're pushing your luck. Yes, Alfred nodded frankly. I'm pushing my luck, I'm greedy. I'm despicable, I'm guilty. But babe, I'm truly happy you didn't choose him. Alfred slowly stood up. His knee gently brushing against mine through the fabric, whether intentionally or not. He leaned in, placing his hands on either side of the sofa, trapping me between his arms. His hot breath drew closer, and a fleeting kiss landed on my cheek. Alfred chuckled, nuzzling his face against the spot he had just kissed, like a puppy. Baby, be with me, won't you? He asked. Unusually, I detected a hint of pleading in his tone. Please, baby, he added. Even though I hadn't agreed yet, he was already calling me baby quite naturally. I frowned and turned my head away. We'll see. I'm still very upset. Then punish me, Alfred said, taking my hand and pressing it to his cheek, still acting clingy. You can punish me however you like, as long as it makes you feel better. Just as I was about to speak, a sudden, violent knocking erupted from outside the door. Irene, open the door! It's Frederick! Frederick shouted, pounding on the door with both hands while repeatedly calling my name. I'm sorry, I lied to you, he continued. The person who took care of you this past month wasn't me, it was Alfred. I just asked him to help out, but I never thought he had ulterior motives. And would do such improper things to you. He's had designs on you for a long time, just waiting to steal you away from me. Irene, don't let him fool you. I shifted slightly. Alfred, thinking I was going to open the door, quickly wrapped his arms tightly around me, burying his face in the crook of my neck. His voice was muffled as he spoke. Don't go. You're not allowed to go. I said, he's going to disturb the neighbors. Alfred whined, then let the neighbors call the police and have him arrested. Frederick continued to shout outside the door. Irene, please open the door and let me in. I know I was wrong. I want to apologize. We can sort things out between us. Don't fall for Alfred's tricks. He's not a good person. Hearing this, Alfred let out a cold snort. He lowered his head, gently covering my ears with his hands to block out the noise from outside. He leaned in close, placing soft, delicate kisses on my cheeks and the corner of my mouth. Finally, he gazed into my eyes. Baby, look at me, he said. Don't pay any attention to him. Alfred's body temperature was high, enveloping me in a warm embrace. The heat where our skin touched made me feel dizzy. Outside the door, Frederick was still saying something, but I could barely hear him now. Alfred picked me up by the waist and carried me into the bedroom. His passionate kisses rained down on me like a storm. His movements were gentle, yet carried an undeniable dominance that left me breathless. My mind went blank, and I instinctively pushed against him. Alfred released me, giving me a chance to catch my breath. But he didn't stop. His lips and teeth slowly moved to my ear, his tongue teasing and nibbling my earlobe. Babe, you still haven't told me how you're going to punish me. Alfred's voice was husky, filled with rising desire. Seeing that I was too dazed to think, he chuckled and began unbuttoning his shirt. If you can't think of anything, I'll use my own method. Alfred interlaced our fingers, and a moment later, he suddenly lifted my hand to examine it closely. It was then that I noticed a ring had been slipped onto my middle finger. It fit perfectly, with a beautifully cut pink diamond at its center. On his hand, he wore a matching plain band. "It looks beautiful," Alfred said as his lips descended once more. His prominent nose grazed lightly over my stomach. As fireworks exploded in my mind, I couldn't help but grab his hair. In the moonlight, the diamond cast a soft pink glow among his hair strands. Alfred looked up, his lips glistening. The night was incredibly long. By the time I was nearly fainting from exhaustion due to the passionate encounter, I belatedly realized. This rascal Alfred, how was this punishing him? It was clearly a reward. The next day, I slept in until well past noon. When I woke up, Alfred was sitting on the edge of the bed, resting his chin on his hand. Seeing me open my eyes, he first handed me a glass of water. After I finished drinking, he joyfully reached over to embrace me, nuzzling and kissing me affectionately. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "Breakfast is ready. All your favorites." I was about to scold him, but my stomach betrayed me with an audible growl. "Oh well, better fill my stomach first." After eating, Alfred accompanied me to the hospital for a follow-up appointment. As soon as we opened the door, I was startled by Frederick in the hallway. He was huddled against the wall, his shirt crumpled into a mess. He looked haggard, with sunken eye sockets and bloodshot eyes. Last night, he had been banging on the door, disturbing the neighbors who threatened to call the police. After that, it had gone quiet outside. I thought he had left. But I didn't expect him to have spent the night in the corridor like this. Hearing the door open, Frederick lunged forward. Before he could reach me, a strong arm shot out from behind, pushing him away. Alfred held a rubbish bag in one hand and pulled me behind him with the other. "Careful, babe. There's a beggar," he said. Frederick's eyes bulged with rage. "Alfred Burton, get away from her. To think I considered you a friend. I never imagined you were this kind of person. What did you do to her last night?" "Oh, it's you." Alfred's voice was nonchalant. "What a question to ask. What do couples usually do? As for you, it seems you've ignored everything I told you yesterday." Frederick clenched his fists and looked at me. "Irene, I was wrong before. I'm sorry," he pleaded. "Please forgive me. I swear I'll treat you 10 times, 100 times better. Don't believe what Alfred says. Don't be with him. Give me one more chance to make it up to you, please?" I looked at him coldly. "Frederick, there are no more chances. Who I'm with is none of your business. Don't show up in front of me again. I find it disgusting." Frederick's face was filled with disbelief. "Irene." "Frederick, remember, I'm the one who dumped you." With that, I didn't spare him another glance and walked towards the lift, sidestepping him. For the next few days, Frederick remained stationed outside my house, undeterred by wind or rain. During the day, Alfred deliberately hung laundry on the balcony. At night, Alfred would hold me by the window, kissing me passionately. Our intimate silhouettes cast upon the curtains by the lamplight. I couldn't help but laugh. "You're so childish." Alfred let out a soft grunt, lowering his head to gently bite my shoulder. Frederick went mad, constantly calling and texting me, even coming to pound on the door. I was exasperated. On the third day, Frederick suddenly disappeared. I didn't pay much attention, actually feeling relieved to be rid of this nuisance. A month later, I learned from a friend that the Stewart and Lawrence families had gone bankrupt. Mina came to apologize, but I refused to see her. No one knew where Frederick had gone, only that his entire family had moved away from the capital. Much later, on a deep night, I received a call from an unknown number. I said hello twice, but there was no response from the other end. Alfred, whose movements I had halted, leaned over with a look of unfulfilled desire to check the caller's location. His eyes darkened as he pinned my wrists above my head and sealed my lips with a fervent kiss. "Baby, focus on me," he murmured. With that, Alfred reached over to end the call, his subsequent actions even more intense than before.